Hello, in this video I will go over the basics of design, that's designing a computer program. I'm going to be using Cobol as the language, but the principles are pretty much the same for any language. Of course, we have to ask the question, why write a program at all? And the answer is to save us a lot of work. If you've got something that you need to do which has repetitive processes to it, then a program is ideal for this. An example task would be checking a library book. So this is a common one that is used in computer programming. What happens is you need a program that is going to look up the loan date, check whether it is overdue, and if it is overdue, print a notice. We need to be able to define the task to be completed. This should be done sufficiently so that we have all of the parts of the task and we know what we're doing. It doesn't need to be exact, but it does need to be sufficient. The example that I have here is to output a selected range of values from a chosen set of times table. Display an error and option to re-enter values if values are incorrect. Ask to go again or to quit. Break the task into smaller and smaller chunks. This is like bullet pointing everything that needs to be done. Now it's been broken down into smaller chunks and we can see that we have user input and we need to accept some values into it. So that's starting to look like code already because we're using accept. And then we've got check input is in the range and is of an integer. If not, then display. So that's going to be a comparison and there's going to be an if statement in there. Then we have calculation. For each integer at the start of the range until the range ends, until the end of the range, calculate the multiplication. And then we display it. Now, the next thing to do is to put this into pseudocode. Before we put it into pseudocode, make sure that you've got all of the processing loops. So in our example, the processing loops is going to be the calculation and the displaying. What is pseudocode? Pseudocode is a way of writing out your code that's still in English, but resembles the target code that you're thinking of using. So since we're using Cobol, I'll write the pseudocode in a way that's still structured English, but is going to resemble the Cobol code. So here is the pseudocode for this program, and already it's looking very, very much like Cobol code already. It's displaying please use integers only, and then it's asking to enter a multiplication table between 1 and 12. That's going to be accepted into the form and it's listed as an integer, and then it displays when you start a range and that's accepted into into a variable which is an integer as well. And we have the end of the range, which is going to be an integer and accepted into a variable called end of range. This part of the code is going to deal with checking to make sure that the values entered are legal values. This part of the code is going to display the table and it's going to call on another paragraph a certain amount of times. This is where the calculation is being done, and as you can see, all of the code looks very much like Cobol, but there are a few things that I haven't done. I haven't put the full stops in. There will likely be a few mistakes in the code, and we'll iron them out as I turn it into code, which I'll do next. Once that's done, then we can start actually doing the programming. I've added the code in, and I've used the source format free. So this makes it easier for me. I can just I could put numbers in it afterwards if I wanted, but I've added the code in and it goes straight into the procedure division. But there's a few things we need to do. We need to put something in program begin in the form of the perform. But there are also these other problems in here as well, because this is just the pseudocode that I wrote earlier, and although it's very close to Cobol, it's not exact. So there's a few things that we need to do, and we've got to put in the full stops or the periods. These integer, they don't need to be there. In the data division, we need to put in the working storage section, and then we need to start putting in our variables. So what variables have we got? What variables did we have in our original code? So we've got a table. Now I need to give this enough memory. What kind of memory should I be giving it? It's just accepting 2 digits, so I could just put 99, right? The next one, that's this should be uppercase, shouldn't it? And copy that, and that's going to have to go in there. Now, what kind of storage can I give this? Since it's just the range of numbers, it could be 2, so that 99 will be fine for that as well. So now we go 01, and we're gonna have I'm gonna have to change this again as well, aren't I? That should be end. And we pop that in, and we have pig. Now that also can have 2. Now there's going to be enough 1, isn't there? And there's going to be the answer there. It was computed down here, so we go to compute the result. Now potentially that could have 3. So if I do 999. It should have a period afterwards. Okay, so here that needs a period afterwards. Well, why this range here has come up, is shown up this way? Why it's not showing up in the usual sort of brown, I don't know. So I'm going to find out why that is. I'm not really sure why that is at the moment. Certainly after all of that goes there. That has to be taken out. It could be because of the quotes. Maybe they're the wrong kind of quotes. And that does look like the case. That's the reason why they're the wrong kind of quotes. So I'm going to change these quotes.
You don't have to do that for all of them. Take that quote out. And the quote out. And take some.
That's starting to look a lot better.
Do these, aren't we?
Start range. That should be, I've put the wrong one in there. That should be range. And copy. Okay. Start range. There was another one, wasn't there? I'm sure there was another one somewhere. Right, I think I've got more or less all of it. We could do perhaps a test run, and let's see. Oh, I see here they are down here. This one might be, that is out there a little bit too far, isn't it? So I'm going to have to break that down a bit. I think what I do is I just do that. If I do that, hopefully that should work. I might need to put something in there to let it know to move on. Because if I wasn't using the non-source format, I would put a little hyphen in here. Right, so are we ready? Start of range. Okay, I think that's more or less it up here with. Okay, so if I do save, now I can do a check, and then ultimately what I'm going to have to do is go through this and try and figure out where all the mistakes are. That's got a mistake, that's got a mistake there, and that's got a mistake there. Table, that shouldn't have one there, should be right again. This way, that's got to, yeah, except, no. That should more or less be it. Okay, so now I'm gonna. It's because there's I had a period in there and it shouldn't be. Okay. So now it's throwing up some errors. So if we zoom in here, let's see if we can find these errors. Times table range, Cobol in paragraph, get user input. What's it saying there? Error, unknown statement, check input. So check input is not being used. Check input, and it doesn't have. And what's its name after it? And what was the other one? Start of range is not defined. That's because that should be start of range. It's at the top there. Okay, so now we'll go through this again, and I've still got some problems. So something about the E is not defined. So if we look at the lines there one by one, E is not defined on line 27. Ah. See the problem there. Now, is there anything else? Unexpected literal on line 35. That should not be in there. If I'm going to put that in, that should be display. Okay, so let's see if that's cleared up some of the mistakes there. And that's too much. Let's clear this and then try that again. Check input. Check input. Times table range error syntax U unexpected literal, and that's on line 35. I don't think I saved it, did I? Let's do that. Okay, clear it again. And now run this. In paragraph, check input. 46, error, syntax error, U, unexpected error. And that was on there, line 46. So there's 2 on line 46 there. Right, there is a mistake. There. And now we do save, we go back over here, clear. And it looks like it compiled. There's only one way to test it now, and that's to run it. Please use integers only. So now we can see the program is running. So let's do the 3 times table. Enter a start range, and we're going to do from 5 to 8 and see what happens. And we have down here between 3, 5, and 8. Right, I'm not really quite sure what that means, so I need to sort that out. And we've got 15, 18, 21, and 24. So it's almost there. It's almost there. The program is running, but it needs a little bit of tidying up. So I'm going to do that next.